So we will start off today with Brian Lewis of the New York Post. Brian, go ahead.
Hey, Landry, welcome.
Thank you.
The celebration on social media was very on brand. I am curious when you found out to a certainty that you were being traded, and when did you first hear that Brooklyn might have interest in you?
So, I mean, obviously the last couple of weeks with, trades being opened up and whatnot in the near future there'd been some rumors and rumblings and stuff. Obviously, I knew my name was involved in a number of potentials. But on draft day, it was probably about I don't know what time it was, 7:30. I was like making dinner for me and my girlfriend, my agent, and like my best friend in town, and found out. My agent came in and told me, and I mean, I was excited. I mean, it's a great opportunity, great organization, new coach, great players, and great city. So, I mean, I was excited and happy for the new opportunity.
Hi, Landry. I was just wondering if you could give us your thoughts on what it will be like to play with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, and what you think you can bring to the table for the Nets.
Yeah, I mean, I've been lucky this summer, actually. It's funny. That's who I was primarily playing a lot of pickup with up at Mamba Sports Academy this summer, or this fall, I guess. So, yeah, over my off season, I've been able to play with those two guys, play against them, get to know them. And, I mean, I'm excited. I like how they both play. They both move. They want to set screens and play in space. And they're unselfish, willing passers. They're smart. My wheels have been spinning on how I can get involved and how I can get those guys shots, and how I'll be able to contribute as well. So I'm just really excited. Obviously, I've been lucky. I'm 23 years old. This is my third year in the league, and I played with some really, really good players. These two just add to that list. So I'm excited and really like what we have here.
We'll go to Alex Schiffer with The Athletic.
Hey, Landry, welcome to Brooklyn. Kind of picking up where you just left off, you had to adjust to playing alongside Kawhi and Paul George last year after spending time with the Clippers beforehand. Obviously, they're different players than Kyrie and Kevin, but do you think having to learn how to play off them last year will help you with the Nets and how to learn how to play off Kevin and Kyrie?
Yeah, I mean, I think just, adapting to various situations and different personnel. I mean, like you said, they're different players. Kyrie and Kevin are very different from PG and Kawhi. So, and I'd assume obviously we're going to play differently. So it'll just depend on how coaches come in and what they want to do, how they want to implement guys, and it's my job to identify my job, my role, what I can do to help those two guys make their lives easier. And how I can be a threat, be a weapon, and contribute and bring to the table what I know I can bring to the table.
We'll go to Malika Andrews with ESPN.
Landry, you're about to kind of embark on this heightened transition for the time period, right? You only have a couple of weeks to get moved across the country. What do these next couple of weeks look like for you, just in terms of both getting acclimated, finding a place, getting to New York? Is there a quarantine involved? Can you walk us through that?
Yeah, so
and coming from California.
Yeah. Trade obviously went down like 7:30 Wednesday night. Yesterday I flew out yesterday afternoon, got into New York around like 10:30. Been in my hotel room. I'm quarantining until Monday. So I got out, got tested today. And I'd assume more of the same in the next couple of days. But Monday is my targeted date for when I will be able to leave. But as far as getting acclimated goes, what it looks like, I mean, my girlfriend, my dog are back in LA. She's kind of holding down the fort, taking care of that whole thing, her and my agent are, getting movers, and she's selling furniture and all the odds and ends stuff that people don't really think about when you get traded. So there's a lot that goes into it. There's a life behind, just being a basketball player. but getting my dog and my girlfriend out here for around Thanksgiving is what's next. And then we'll look at apartments, places to live, and then training camps here in like less than 2 weeks. So a lot to do in the next, coming days, but it's exciting. In 23, I get to live in Brooklyn, play in a great city for a great team. So I'm going to enjoy it.
Christian Winfield with
Thank
the New
you.
York Daily News.
Hey Landry, number one, welcome to Brooklyn.
Thank you.
This is obviously the second consecutive contender you're going to be on. Obviously, last year on the Clippers, I think it's fair to call last year a disappointment, right? You guys had championship expectations, went out in the second round. I'm kind of curious, what specifically could you point to as reasons why you guys kind of came up short? And was there anything that you learned specifically in that process of falling short of a championship that you can use to kind of try to steer the ship in Brooklyn clear, towards a championship? Because, Steve Nash came out and said, hey, we're contending for a championship, and he didn't want to have any misconceptions about that.
Right. Well, for me personally, when something like that goes bad, I'm not one to look outward. I don't look at my teammates, coaches. I try to look at myself first, identify what I did, my performance, what I could have done. And it was frustrating. I think what I was most frustrated about with the bubble was knowing that I was kind of an X factor, and I just didn't, I didn't play to the level that I know I'm capable of. I didn't shoot the ball as well as I normally do. And I know there's more in the tank for me. So that was my first thought. I mean, I think if I make 2 more threes a game, a lot of those games look a little bit different. So I'm looking at myself. I know those numbers don't reflect who I am. I've been working my ass off this off season, and obviously there were a number of things you could point to. I know I'm not saying I'm the only reason we lost, but that's where I like to look. I don't think it's a proper use of my energy to point it at other people or anything. I'm going to use it towards myself, so I know how I can get better, and hopefully coming into this organization can bring a little bit more and help get us to where we want to go.
Next, Tom Dowd, BrooklynNets.com.
Andrew, the Nets have a first-year head coach in Steve Nash, who obviously has a great legacy as a player. Do you know Steve well at all, and what are you looking forward to from having that experience playing for him?
Yeah, so I lived in Manhattan Beach, Hermosa Beach area in LA, and so did Steve. So it was last Christmas, actually. I'm having dinner with my agent. Steve's there eating with his family, and he comes over with like his son, and he's like, "Hey man, sorry to interrupt. Like, really don't want to bother you, but my son, he's a big fan. You mind if he takes the picture?" And I haven't met him yet, and I'm looking at him like, dude, like I should be asking you to take a picture with you. Like it was crazy. It was really cool, but that's the type of guy he is. You'd always see him like walking around with his kids on his shoulders. So yeah, I met him there, and then we had somewhat of a relationship, not super close, didn't talk a ton. But then obviously talked to him when the trade went down. So yeah, I'm excited. I love Steve. He's been great so far. I'm excited to get to know him better. I'm excited to play for him.
Back to Greg Logan with Newsday.
Landry, you talked about playing this fall with Kyrie and Kevin in Los Angeles. Did you guys talk at that point about possibly teaming up, and do you think they had any input into the deal that brought you to the Nets?
No, we didn't talk about really teaming up. Me and Kevin, I think every time I've played against Kevin, my whole career, we've always, I don't know what it is, but we always talk, have a good relationship. He's competitive. I'm competitive. That whole playoff series against Golden State that I got to play in my first year was great, but it was cool to, kind of initially build that relationship. And then every time I've seen him since, it's been kind of, more and more. We were texting, but didn't really talk. We didn't talk about like any trades or any of that stuff. Talked about the season, talked about, a number of things, but nothing about, yeah, you're coming to Brooklyn, or like I should come to Brooklyn. It was never anything about that. So I don't know. I mean, they could have had input. If they did and they wanted me, then that's great. If they didn't, the front office, I'm glad they made the decision they did and brought me here because I know I can add value. So, but yeah.
Stephen Bondi, New York Daily News.
Hey, thanks for doing this, Landry. You were on a team last year that had two new stars, right? That never played together, and this is kind of similar. But is there anything you could take from that experience? And I know after the bubble, there was some talk about the chemistry wasn't there with the Clippers towards the end. Is there something that you can take from that experience and sort of transfer over here, or something that you learned that you can apply to Brooklyn?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen, the entirety of the organization in operation in a full day yet. I haven't seen everybody under the same roof. But going off this offseason, having a number of guys out in LA, all playing pickup every day together, I think that's a great start. Obviously getting to know each other before push comes to shove and before things get really hard. I think that's number one. You got to build like a chemistry before things get hard. So when things do get hard, you got that trust and that foundation to build on. So that's number one. I think they're doing a great job. They decided to make that decision to all work out together, and that's been great. But for me, what I'm going to bring in that sense of chemistry is just sacrifice. Like I'm willing to do, whatever for my teammates. I'll give up myself for our team. I'm all about winning. I want to win. So that's what I'll bring to the table and hopefully can rub off on a lot of other guys.
Howard Magnol, the step back.
Thanks for doing this, Landry. Appreciate it. You've been in a couple of situations, obviously, you've talked about here today. But to come to Brooklyn when you're still 23, when you're still in a lot of ways defining your career, it's at a time where the Nets are really defining who they are as well, where we haven't even, seen Kevin and Kyrie playing together either. So I guess there's two parts to it. One is when you think about the way this team is defined, how they're going to play, I'm wondering what Brooklyn shared with you, what your own ideas about it are. And just related to that, when will we know, how will we know it's working?
I think identity-wise, you got Steve Nash coaching, you got D'Antoni on the bench, you got a guy in Kyrie who likes to push the pace, and I think we're going to play fast and with a lot of space and, with a lot of fluidity. That'd be my first guess. And that's fun. If you're a basketball player, that's fun. But identity-wise, that won't really be established until we all get under the same roof and start working and getting to know each other. And we'll figure it out quick. We have smart guys on this team. If you look at the roster and, so it'll be established. As far as from when we will know it's working from a fan's perspective, honestly, if you're a basketball fan, you kind of just know. You have a feel, you get it. You understand if guys are clicking and gelling and playing together. And as a player, you get it too. Where you understand each other and get to a point where it almost becomes just second nature of understanding one another. So I'm not sure when it'll be. I'm not sure how soon or whatever. But I have a lot of faith in coaching staff and us players to get us to that point as quickly as possible.
Back to Christian Winfield, New York Daily News.
Hey, Landry, two things. One, how are you going to navigate the idea of relocating in the middle of a pandemic? Have you given any thought to how tricky that might be? And second, an offbeat question, but what were you cooking for dinner when you found out that you were going to get traded?
I was making some like carne asada. I was actually making a few like salsas and some rice and beans. So we were having like Mexican food. But as far as relocating during a pandemic, yeah, it's really weird. It's difficult, especially going all the way across the country. And the last time I was in New York, it was in a much better place than it is right now. But I know it'll get back to that point. But it'll be interesting. It hasn't all the way set in yet. There's a lot of stuff still left to do, like looking at places and whatnot. But it is weird. It's just a different feel in New York right now, obviously with pandemic and everything going on in the world right now. So, but it'll be fine. I'm excited. I know a lot of people here. I'll have my girlfriend with me. That always makes it easier. And we'll navigate it perfectly fine, I'm sure.
Last question, we'll go with Chris, Nets Daily.
Hey Landry, welcome to Brooklyn. Just recently, Sean Marks noted how your defensive mentality, the hardness, and on top of that, being a versatile defender. So I wanted to get your point of view on kind of what you bring on the defensive end of things. We all know what you can do on the offensive end. So what can you do on the defensive end?
Just be a good talker, a good communicator. I know one thing: my teammates will never have to question if I'm playing hard. That's number one. I take a lot of pride in that. I don't want. There's never going to be a question of if I'm playing hard. Like they'll know that I'll bring that to the table every day. They're going to know what they're going to get. A lot of effort, a lot of communication, and a lot of unselfishness. So I play hard, and I communicate. That's what I'm gonna bring every day.
We're going to finish off. Brian Lewis has one more question.
Hey, you discussed that you obviously were in LA and you were getting the opportunity to play with KD and Kyrie, and that having so many guys out there will help chemistry. I'm curious. Both of those guys are obviously coming back from significant injuries. What did you note in them physically? I mean, how advanced did they look and ready to play?
Look great. I mean, KD looks great. Kyrie looks great. I'm not them though, so I don't know where they're at or whatever. What more is left? If they're there all the way, but from the outside looking in, I mean, they look really good. And yeah,